Mars-bound, Trump's vision for an American flag on the red planet gains traction with Musk's strategic support. Date: January 25, 2025. In a momentous development following the inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States on January 20, 2025, the former president reaffirmed his aspiration to send American astronauts to Mars with the ultimate goal of placing the U.S. flag on the Martian surface. This ambitious vision has garnered significant backing from Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX, who has long advocated for human colonization of Mars through the development of the Starship rocket. During his inaugural address, Trump invoked the notion of manifest destiny, a term historically associated with 19th-century American expansionism, and recontextualized it as a call for renewed space exploration. He proclaimed, "The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, and we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars." This statement emphasizes a revival of the American spirit of exploration, positioning the U.S. as a leader in the next frontier of human endeavor. While Trump's rhetoric was bold and visionary, it left many specifics regarding the timeline and implications for existing NASA programs such as the Artemis lunar mission unaddressed. Trump has previously hinted that astronauts could reach Mars by the conclusion of his term in January 2029, but did not clarify whether he meant an actual landing or merely a precursor mission. This ambiguity raises concerns about funding and the potential reallocation of resources from NASA's lunar initiatives, which have been a focal point of U.S. space exploration efforts in recent years. Elon Musk, who was present at the inauguration, expressed strong support for Trump's vision. This alliance between the Trump administration and private space enterprises like SpaceX underscores a collaborative dynamic that could reshape American space policy. Musk has articulated a timeline for an uncrewed Starship mission to Mars as early as 2026, suggesting a synchronization of ambitions between his company and the Trump administration's goals. The historical context leading to this moment is significant. During Trump's first term 2017 to 2021, he spearheaded initiatives like the establishment of the U.S. Space Force and the revival of the National Space Council, aiming to bolster the United States' capabilities in space. After losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden, Trump returned to office in January 2025, vowing to reverse many of his predecessors' policies, including those impacting space exploration. Just days before the inauguration, SpaceX conducted a notable test flight of the Starship rocket, showcasing its readiness for future endeavors. In summary, Trump's renewed commitment to Mars exploration, reinforced by Musk's technological aspirations, represents a pivotal moment in U.S. space policy. This alignment not only reflects a reinvigoration of national ambitions for interplanetary presence, but also poses critical questions about the future of NASA's projects and budget allocations. The coming months will be crucial as detailed plans and funding strategies are expected to emerge, determining the trajectory of this audacious mission. Source summaries. 1. The New York Times reported on Trump's inaugural address, noting that while he promised to launch American astronauts to Mars, he left critical details regarding the initiative's implications for NASA's lunar program and the timeline for the mission vague. The article emphasized the historical context of Trump's remarks and their connection to American exceptionalism. 2. NPR highlighted Trump's invocation of manifest destiny in the context of space exploration, reflecting on the implications of this rhetoric for U.S. space policy and its historical significance. 3. Space.com detailed Trump's vision for Mars exploration and the enthusiastic response from Musk, underscoring the importance of private-public partnerships in achieving ambitious space exploration goals. The article also provided insights into Musk's plans for SpaceX in relation to NASA's Artemis program and the future of Mars missions. Conclusion. The renewed focus on Mars exploration under the Trump administration, combined with the innovative capabilities of SpaceX, sets the stage for a potentially transformative era in space exploration. As the U.S. prepares to chart a course toward the red planet, the intersection of government policy, private enterprise, and national ambition will play a crucial role in determining the success of these endeavors. The coming years will reveal the viability of Trump's vision and the practicalities of sending American astronauts to Mars, a goal that could redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. Counterintuitive information. 1. Manifest Destiny Reimagined. The invocation of manifest destiny in the context of space exploration is a surprising twist. Traditionally, this concept has been associated with territorial expansion across North America, often at the expense of indigenous peoples. Trump's application of this historical phrase to justify sending humans to Mars presents a provocative blending of colonial rhetoric with modern space aspirations, potentially ignoring the ethical implications tied to such a legacy. 2. Ambiguity of plans. Despite Trump's ambitious vision for Mars exploration, the lack of specificity regarding the timeline and implications for NASA's existing programs is counterintuitive. While he promises a U.S. flag on Mars by 2029, the vagueness surrounding whether this means a crewed landing or merely a test mission raises skepticism about the feasibility of such claims. This contrasts sharply with Musk's more concrete plans for SpaceX missions, suggesting a disparity in the clarity and realism of visions between the government and private sector. 3. Potential resource redirection. The possibility that Mars colonization could divert resources from NASA's lunar initiatives presents a counterintuitive challenge, especially after years of investment in the Artemis program. Trump's focus on Mars without clear prioritization of funding raises questions about the sustainability of NASA's broader goals in space exploration, which traditionally have included both lunar and Martian ambitions. This could lead to a scenario where the push for Mars ultimately hampers progress on the Moon, contradicting the typical view of expanding space exploration capabilities. 4. Political dynamics with SpaceX. The collaboration between Trump's administration and private space enterprises like SpaceX is notable, especially considering Musk's previous criticisms of governmental space projects. This partnership flips the conventional narrative where private companies often operate independently or in competition with governmental agencies. The alignment of interests here suggests a significant shift in how public-private partnerships might shape the future of space exploration, challenging the notion that government-led initiatives are the primary drivers of space missions. 5. Historical context of space exploration. Trump's rhetoric around American exceptionalism and pioneering spirit echoes themes from the 19th century but is applied to a modern context where the global landscape of space exploration is shared among multiple nations and private entities. This nostalgic framing may not align with the current reality, where collaborative international efforts are crucial for advancements in space technology and exploration, highlighting a potential disconnect between the vision of American dominance in space and the collaborative nature of contemporary space exploration. 6. Trump's unique position as a felon. The fact that Trump is the first felon to serve as U.S. president adds a layer of complexity to his leadership and ambition in space exploration. While this might ordinarily undermine a political figure's credibility, it appears to have no detrimental effect on his strong support for an ambitious space agenda. This is counterintuitive, as one would expect legal and ethical controversies to hamper a president's ability to push for significant initiatives, particularly in a field that requires bipartisan support and extensive funding. 7. Role of Space Force. The establishment of the U.S. Space Force during Trump's previous administration was groundbreaking but is not universally accepted as a necessity. Some might argue that a military branch focused on space is counterproductive to the spirit of exploration and cooperation that should characterize space endeavors. This juxtaposition of militarization with exploration is a counterintuitive approach, suggesting a potential conflict between national security interests and the collaborative nature of scientific discovery in space. 8. Impact of previous administration policies. The promise to roll back Biden's policies in space exploration indicates a return to a singular vision under Trump's leadership. However, this approach could undermine the progress made during the previous administration, which sought to prioritize sustainable and inclusive space exploration. The notion that a new administration can simply reset the course of space policies without regard for the foundations laid by predecessors counters the understanding of policy evolution in complex fields like space exploration, where continuity often yields better results. 9. Public sentiment versus political rhetoric. While Trump's inauguration speech was filled with grand visions of space exploration, public sentiment towards ambitious space missions often varies greatly. Many citizens may prioritize immediate terrestrial concerns such as climate change, healthcare, and economic stability over interplanetary ambitions. The counterintuitive aspect here is the assumption that a nationalistic space agenda will resonate with the broader populace when many may be more concerned with pressing issues at home. 10. NASA's role in future exploration. The potential sidelining of NASA in favor of private ventures like SpaceX raises questions about the future role of government in space exploration. Historically, NASA has been the backbone of U.S. space efforts, yet the current trend suggests a diminishing role for governmental agencies in favor of private companies. This could lead to a fragmented approach to space exploration where private interests dictate the pace and direction of missions, which is counter to the collaborative framework that has characterized successful space exploration in the past. In the report on Donald Trump's vision for Mars exploration, several key aspects are noteworthy and likely to be overlooked by the general public despite their significance in shaping the future of U.S. space policy and international competitiveness in space exploration. 1. Historical context of manifest destiny. Trump's invocation of manifest destiny as a framework for space exploration is significant. This concept historically justified territorial expansion across North America, often at the expense of indigenous peoples and other nations. By recontextualizing this idea for space, Trump taps into a narrative of American exceptionalism and destiny that could influence public sentiment and policy. It raises ethical questions about how the U.S. might approach extraterrestrial territories and potential resources, sparking debates about space governance that could shape international norms and agreements in space exploration. 2. Ambiguity regarding NASA's existing programs. Trump's speech lacked clarity on how his Mars ambitions would coexist with NASA's Artemis lunar program. The potential for funding cuts to existing programs like Artemis is concerning, especially given that NASA's lunar missions are intended to serve as a stepping stone to Mars exploration. The absence of specifics about funding and timelines reflects a broader trend in space policy where ambitious goals are presented without a detailed roadmap, risking disarray in ongoing projects that have already seen significant investment in planning. 3. Elon Musk's influence and private sector collaboration. Musk's enthusiastic support for Trump's Mars plan underscores a growing trend of collaboration between government and private space enterprises. This partnership could redefine how space exploration is funded and executed, with implications for accountability and prioritization. The reliance on private companies like SpaceX raises questions about the sustainability of such models, particularly if they lead to monopolistic practices or priorities that diverge from public interest objectives. For impact on international space relations, the aggressive push for Mars exploration can lead to heightened competition with other nations, particularly China and Russia, which are also advancing their space exploration agendas. This competition could spur innovation but may also lead to geopolitical tensions. The report suggests that a race to Mars could mirror historical space races, which had substantial implications for international relations during the Cold War. The potential for conflict over territorial claims, resource exploitation, and technological supremacy in space is significant and merits closer examination. 5. Funding and resource allocation. The implications of shifting funding from established NASA programs to Mars exploration initiatives could destabilize the already complex budgetary landscape of space programs. Trump's administration might pursue aggressive funding strategies that prioritize Mars at the expense of lunar and Earth-centric missions, which could hinder long-term scientific research and technology development essential for sustainable exploration efforts. 6. Public engagement and perception. Trump's rhetoric appeals to a sense of national pride and adventure, which may galvanize public interest in space exploration. However, the lack of detailed plans risks disillusionment if the public perceives these goals as unattainable or overly ambitious. The balance between inspiring the public and providing realistic, achievable objectives is delicate and crucial for maintaining support for space initiatives. 7. Technological and safety considerations. While Musk's SpaceX has made significant advancements with the Starship program, the technical challenges of a crewed Mars mission remain daunting. The report mentions an uncrewed mission as early as 2026, but the complexities of life support, radiation protection, and sustainable habitats on Mars are still largely unresolved. Overlooking these challenges could lead to underestimating the time and resources required, potentially setting back timelines and eroding public confidence in the feasibility of such missions. In conclusion, while the vision of sending astronauts to Mars and planting an American flag is galvanizing crucial elements related to ethics, international relations, existing program impacts, funding strategies, public perception, and technological challenges require more in-depth scrutiny. These overlooked aspects are significant as they hold the potential to shape not only the future of U.S. space exploration but also its standing in the global arena and the ethical framework guiding humanity's ventures beyond Earth. 1. Manifest destiny and space exploration. Trump's framing of space exploration through the lens of manifest destiny is a significant cultural and rhetorical pivot. By invoking this historical concept, he seeks to rekindle the spirit of American exceptionalism and expansionism, suggesting that the U.S. has a divine right or duty to explore and colonize other worlds. This narrative can serve to unify public sentiment around space initiatives, but it also raises questions about the implications of such a mindset, particularly in the context of ethical considerations regarding planetary exploration and the potential colonization of other celestial bodies. 2. Collaboration with private enterprises. The partnership between the Trump administration and private companies like SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, marks a transformative moment in U.S. space policy. Musk's enthusiasm and technological advancements with the Starship rocket align closely with Trump's ambitions for Mars colonization. This collaboration could lead to accelerated advancements in space travel technology and exploration timelines. However, it also poses challenges regarding regulatory oversight, funding allocation, and the balance of public versus private interests in space exploration. 3. Impact on NASA's existing programs. Trump's Mars vision may have significant repercussions for NASA's current initiatives, particularly the Artemis lunar program. The lack of clarity in Trump's proposals raises concerns about potential funding cuts to existing projects. The reallocation of resources could not only disrupt NASA's plans but may also affect international partnerships and scientific research priorities. This uncertainty necessitates a robust discussion on how to manage competing goals within U.S. space policy while ensuring sustainable exploration practices. For the technological and financial feasibility. While the vision of sending astronauts to Mars by 2029 captures the public's imagination, the realistic timeline and financial commitment required to achieve this goal remain ambiguous. Musk's plans for an uncrewed mission to Mars as early as 2026 provide a potential framework, yet the complexities of human spaceflight, including safety, life support, and the psychological effects of long-duration missions, must be addressed. The administration's ability to secure funding and foster bipartisan support for such ambitious proposals will be crucial in determining the feasibility of Trump's Mars aspirations. 1. The moon landing 1969. The Apollo 11 mission, which culminated in the historic landing of astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon, is a seminal event in space exploration history. The mission was propelled by the United States' commitment to demonstrating technological superiority during the Cold War, particularly in the context of the space race against the Soviet Union. Armstrong's famous words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," symbolized not only American achievement but also a sense of human collective progress. This mission was marked by national pride and ambition similar to the contemporary drive to plant the American flag on Mars, aligning with the theme of manifest destiny and exploration. 2. The Lewis and Clark Expedition 1804–1806. commissioned by President Thomas Jefferson. The expedition aimed to explore the newly acquired lands of the Louisiana Purchase and to find a practical route to the Pacific Ocean. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark's journey is often viewed as a pivotal moment in American expansionism, embodying the spirit of exploration and discovery. The expedition mapped vast territories, established relations with Native American tribes, and opened the way for westward expansion. This historical event parallels the modern aspirations of space exploration as a continuation of the American pioneering spirit, invoking a sense of destiny tied to exploration beyond Earth. 3. The Homestead Act 1862. This landmark legislation encouraged Western migration by providing settlers with land provided they would cultivate it for a certain period. The Homestead Act reflects the 19th century belief in manifest destiny, as it facilitated the expansion of the United States into the Western territories. The act led to significant settlement and development in areas previously considered uninhabitable. The parallels to Trump's vision for Mars lie in the belief that exploring and claiming new lands is an inherent part of American identity, where the act of planting a flag symbolizes ownership and the potential for growth and innovation in new frontiers. The future of space exploration, particularly concerning Mars, appears to be entering a transformative phase as Donald Trump embarks on his second presidency with a bold vision to plant the American flag on the red planet. This ambition, which aligns closely with Elon Musk's goal of Mars colonization via SpaceX, is indicative of a renewed spirit of exploration reminiscent of historical American expansionism. Here are some predictions and potential impacts of this renewed focus on Mars exploration. 1. Accelerated Mars mission timeline. Trump's administration is likely to push for an expedited timeline for crewed missions to Mars, with aspirations that could see astronauts reaching the planet by the end of his term in January 2029. This ambition will depend heavily on the successful development and testing of SpaceX's Starship, which Musk has indicated could conduct uncrewed missions to Mars as early as 2026. If both administrations can align on objectives and funding, we may witness significant milestones in the next few years. 2. Increased collaboration between government and private sector. The partnership between NASA and private companies like SpaceX will likely deepen. The Trump administration's support for SpaceX can lead to more public-private partnerships aimed at reducing costs and accelerating technological development. This collaboration could set a precedent for future space missions as private companies increasingly take on a central role in exploration efforts. 3. Budget reallocation and impact on NASA programs. With a strong emphasis on Mars missions, there may be a significant reallocation of NASA's budget. Programs like Artemis, which aims to return humans to the Moon, may face cuts or delays as resources are redirected towards Mars. This shift could lead to debates within Congress about priorities in space exploration, potentially creating conflict between lunar and Martian ambitions. 4. Technological innovations and developments. The push for Mars exploration will likely spur technological advances not only in rocketry but also in life support systems, habitat construction, and sustainable technologies for long-duration space travel. Innovations developed for Mars missions could have spillover effects on Earth, particularly in energy, materials science, and environmental technologies. 5. International competition and collaboration. As the U.S. asserts its ambitions for Mars, other nations are likely to respond. Countries like China and Russia have their own plans for Mars exploration and may accelerate their efforts in response to the U.S. push. This could lead to both competition and potential collaboration on international space efforts. The geopolitical landscape of space exploration is likely to evolve, with nations reassessing their strategies in light of U.S. ambitions. 6. Public engagement and interest in space. Trump's rhetoric around space exploration, particularly the invocation of manifest destiny, may reignite public interest in space. As the administration promotes a narrative of American exceptionalism in space, we might see increased funding for STEM education and outreach initiatives aimed at inspiring the next generation of astronauts, engineers, and scientists. 7. Ethical considerations and space governance. As humanity prepares for interplanetary colonization, discussions around the ethical implications of such endeavors will become increasingly pertinent. Issues like planetary protection, the rights of potential Martian settlers, and the environmental impact of human activities on Mars will need to be addressed. International space law may evolve to accommodate these new realities, necessitating global dialogues on governance in space. 8. Long-term vision for human life on Mars. Beyond initial landings. The ultimate goal of establishing a human presence on Mars will likely gain traction. Concepts of Martian colonies and the infrastructure needed to support human life could emerge as focal points for research and investment. This long-term vision might lead to the development of technologies and policies that facilitate sustainable living on the red planet. 9. The role of space tourism and commercial ventures. As SpaceX progresses towards Mars, the burgeoning space tourism industry may also benefit from heightened interest in Martian exploration. Private ventures may emerge to capitalize on the excitement surrounding Mars, potentially offering commercial flights to orbit or even preliminary missions to the Moon or Mars as test flights for future colonization efforts. Conclusion. In summary, the renewed commitment to Mars exploration under Trump's leadership, supported by Musk's technological prowess, is poised to shape the future of space exploration significantly. While ambitious timelines and goals need to be tempered with practical realities, the potential for innovation, collaboration, and a redefined national and global approach to space is immense. The next few years could mark a turning point in humanity's journey to becoming a multiplanetary species, with profound implications for science, technology, and society at large.